everyone. Welcome to this episode of Context is King. I'm Rebecca Brayton, and with me as always is WatchMojo founder and CEO Ashkan Karbasfrooshan to discuss one-man shows in media, which means people who have to do everything from A to Z or Z, as we are in Canada. So that seems to be the norm now, right?
I think there's always this regression to the mean where media organizations over the course of a century, like some decades, some over a century, grew to become really fat with a lot of layers. And then you had all these specialists, so somebody that just did this one thing. Everybody got really comfortable, fueled by the revolution of consumerism and many other things, where there was a lot of advertising and it was flush time. So you had all these people doing many things. And then technology came along, disrupted all of that, and these businesses kind of crashed to the ground where even these billion-dollar organizations like NBC, I saw this on Twitter, there was this job for a one-person band who fully manages the digital news operation on your own with no extra resources. You got to report and write, you got to share related content on social media platforms and manage the operations thereof. You got to edit, you got to produce, you got to create digital video taken from broadcasts and other.
How many jobs is this?
No, that's what I'm saying. This is crazy. You got to develop best practices and action items from metrics data. You got to oversee the monitoring of. And then the last one is you got to manage the communications with the newsrooms. So you got to basically be able to clone yourself. Yeah. So I
mean, those are all really good skills that everyone should have.
Yeah, but in one job, it's crazy.
It shouldn't be
with no extra resources.
It's
Yeah.
insane.
So I mean, again, I think the irony is like WatchMojo is like this tiny little thing, and we've always kind of been very mindful of like balance, 9 to 5, and we may put a bunch of extra tasks for somebody on their plate, but we'll move things around. You're still working 9 to 5, right? And we actually are a bit opposite. Like I remember when I was comparing some of our practices with like BuzzFeed, that is a much, much bigger version of a WatchMojo, like by a multiple of a gazillion. I think when they're produce videos, there's a lot of generalists. Somebody who will research the topic, write it, maybe even do the VO, maybe even edit it, and that's an approach. We have a lot of like specialists.
We are moving towards that more.
We are.
Yeah.
Yes, on rush projects.
Yeah.
More? Okay. I stand corrected.
No, but I wouldn't say it's not to the extent of that ridiculous posting.
So, but it's like, in our case, historically, it's been like you got a researcher, you got a writer, you got a fact checker, you got a video editor. That's why sometimes, yes, we'll show a Dodgers uniform instead of the Cubs, which should not happen, but because the person that's researching images isn't necessarily the researcher that's writing the script and knows about sports, so to speak. Like, okay. But I think it goes back to this regression to the mean that I would say now these big media organizations, I expect that at a print company. I'm surprised to see that at a broadcast TV company where it's the golden era. That's the thing I find weird. If this was a job posting, now the USA, the New York Times is flush with capital, they're doing really well. But if I saw that at like a Gannett, McClatchy, some kind of like news print traditional organization that's like still trying to figure out layoffs upon layoffs. What I find really crazy and almost appalling is like NBC is crushing it. They're doing really well. That's part of, Comcast. Like that is unrealistic. So I do think in a few years you're going to see a regression to the mean. Well, it'll balance out. It won't go back to like the fat, not PH, like literally fat organizational with so many layers that it was in the late 80s and early 90s. But my guess is that this is not sustainable. You can't ask somebody to do everything, and that makes no sense.
When I was traveling and I was meeting people from different news organizations, someone told me, I think it was in Florida, but it's apparently standard in the States, like a local news affiliate. You are the camera person, you are the editor, you are the voiceover, you're the reporter, you're the interviewer, blah, blah, blah. The problem with that was they hired this woman and then they would send her alone, like usually, at least if you're with a camera, like a big burly cameraman or somebody, or at least not alone. I know, but like what I know, it's they aren't all that way. But I mean, if you're going to investigate a murder in some dark alley somewhere, like at least you're not alone. But if you're, who wants? I don't.
No, I get it. But now that's again, I expect that from newspaper, like, or things that are
No, I know.
struggling. It's weird to see like even the most successful.
Anyway, my
companies.
point is, it's not only mentally taxing, it's dangerous.
Okay, I thought it was degrading.
No.
Yeah, I think this will fix because at some point it'll affect quality. I mean, one reason why people.
I don't think it'll fix.
You don't think they fix?
No.
You think these corporations are that?
Yeah, I think everybody it's the bottom line. If they can, they'll get the most work out of the least amount of people.
Yeah, okay, so I won't lie. I do think, though, that some of these companies do exploit the demand-supply dynamics of the field. Like you saw recently, Taco Bell offered a manager position, that's a great job. Like you're a manager of a restaurant establishment, $100,000 a year. Why? Because demand and supply. Nobody wants to go work there. Everybody wants to be an influencer. I'm kidding. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be a YouTuber.
You can be an influencer at Taco
There you
Bell.
go. You definitely could, yeah. You do one thing that goes viral, you'll definitely be an influencer, sorry. But that's demand and supply in the flesh, right? So I think that because there's so many people that want to work in media, I remember, again, when we were insolvent and money losing, we were still like, well, we don't want to take advantage of that. We get it. But you're right, maybe these big companies are just... I do think, though, that there's going to be a little bit of a regression to the mean because the quality, I don't think they're going to do it for altruistic purposes. I think they're going to eventually see that the quality suffers. If you have one person...
Do they care about quality?
Maybe. I think they care about quality. Do they care as much as they should? Do they care as much as some of the employees do? No. And what is the definition of quality? Because quality, like success, is fluid, subjective, and relative.
Yeah. It's not, though. I mean, like, yeah, but no. Anyway, are we done?
Yeah, I'm done. I have nothing to add after that.
Sorry. Well, let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you next time.